Hello, hello. Welcome back to Retrieving Sanity, Lunch Intermission. So, as I want to do this new style of, segment, if you will, this is just a chance for me to kind of catalog the day, let you know what it's like to be in recovery throughout the day, and or really just me just getting random thoughts out there because I have a lot of them throughout the day. As I'm sure most people do, but if you're not neurodivergent, you probably don't. I don't know. I haven't really thought about it too much, and now I do. And so now I'm wondering, how weird are you? Because I know I'm pretty weird. I mean, I don't have to tell you that. You can just watch. But anyways, this lunch intermission thing, I was about to try and get Simba in on it too, just because I was right by his work, and I was like, oh, it's almost lunchtime. I can swing by and if he can do lunch, we can do like a 20-minute video, and like people can actually like get to see Simba before we get him before he gets out of the Mina Nehemiah and is able to start doing stuff in person, if it's still going to be a thing. I think it will. I don't know. We'll see. But I still had to remember that this is my podcast. It is my baby, and so this is really a part for me to sit here and make the best of it. And damn, is that a pigeon? No, that's a damn grackle. Okay, sorry. Yeah, it's been an interesting road doing this whole podcasting thing, and I love it. I know I'm not great at it, and I've got a lot of room to improve, but at the same time, this is growing. I don't expect it to get to where I imagine it until about a year in at least. So I'm working with Ethan and Jose at my house to do the next 2 interviews. We got some of Ethan's done, but we were kind of short on time, and so that one was more of a test run for him, so that he would have an idea of how the interview would go, because he hasn't done one. A lot of people haven't, and I totally get that, because I haven't interviewed people like for videos and stuff, so this is new to me too. So I appreciate the thoughtfulness of him saying like, hey, why don't we do a few takes so like we can get used to it? And I was like, yeah, that's actually a really good idea. So yeah, the new house is doing great for me, and it is what I needed. It's more structure, it's more accountability, it's more everything that I needed, but I still get my freedom to do what I want to do. I just have to do certain things, do them right, and do them without being told to do them, kind of thing. Which, I mean, I'm an adult-ish, right? But it's one of those things that I get to do what I want to do so long as I do the things I need to do, and that's how recovery is. So long as I do the things that I need to do, I get to do whatever I want to do. I know it sounds a little counterintuitive, but at the same time, if you really think about it, that's the whole point of like having laws and shit. The thing is, with that, if it doesn't make sense to me, I'm not going to do it, or I'll do it and just be mad about it the whole time. But with recovery, it's a little bit similar, because if you don't do certain things throughout your recovery, you are not going to do too well. Or if you do well in staying sober regards, you're probably going to end up being a dry drunk. And nobody likes a dry drunk because, well, at least the drunk has a reason that he's being angry and mad and stupid. So a dry drunk is only that much worse because they're sober and being an asshole. And there's not an excuse. You can't sit there and say, oh, well, he's drunk. It's the drink talking. He's sober and he's just an asshole. So thankfully, I'm not doing that, because that's a shitty road. And I know how much of an asshole I can be, and I'm not. But I'm sure everyone that knew me while I was drinking and in my shit would probably say I was kind of an asshole. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But either way, I know that for those in recovery, whenever I say we have to do what we have to do, so we can do what we want to do. It involves doing your step 10, which is keeping a personal inventory and making amends or admitting we were wrong promptly, so that we don't have things build up throughout the day, and then a day turns into a week, and then a week turns into a month, and then it's a resentment. It's probably a resentment early on, but the thing is that a lot of us don't realize that it's a resentment until that tea kettle starts boiling over. Whenever it starts boiling over, that's whenever we know that, well, shit, probably should have done something a little bit sooner. But that's the thing, is that a lot of recovery is very uncomfortable to do because it's hard. And it's funny because it's hard for us. It may not be hard for other people, but we were never taught these kind of things. And if we were taught, we never implemented them. And even if we implemented them, we probably didn't do it quite right. A lot of us were probably cutting corners. A lot of us were probably doing the whole con, saying what we need to say, doing what we need to do just to get away with something. But the thing is that that was bad intention of why we would do the right things. In recovery, we do the right things because we need to do the right things. It's funny because a lot of recovery sits there and it actually tells us and teaches us how to be better people. It doesn't necessarily sit there and say this is what you need to do if you're only an addict. It says in the big book, these steps are what bring us closer to our higher power consciously. And that's why spiritualism is such a big part in recovery, because it brings you closer to your higher power, whatever that may be, whoever it may be. And the thing is that as you walk closer with your higher power, you start to radiate this goodness. It's a pure, innocent, maybe not innocent, but it's a pure kind of feeling that other people can feel. It's palpable. It's almost tangible. And in recovery, a non-afflicted person, so a non-addict, they can follow the steps, they can implement them themselves, and they'll find a change, a positive change in their life, because it's not, yeah, it was originally made for us addicts and alcoholics, the 12 steps and recovery itself. But that's the thing, is that you have people that are dry drunks and they weren't an addict or an alcoholic. You have people that are just fucking assholes and they're not an addict or alcoholic. And then you have narcissists, and the list goes on. You have bigots, and you have xenophobes, all that. All these people could benefit from it. I'm not saying that it'll fix every single problem ever. What I'm saying is that for the person that seems like a dry drunk, for the person that seems like an asshole, for the person that seems like they're just not getting through life very well or easily, the steps can actually do something for that person. You don't have to be an addict or alcoholic to do the steps. Yeah, they help us, but the thing is that they're useful for anyone. It's inclusive. It includes every single person, if they so choose. The thing is, the addict and alcoholic aspect comes into play whenever we have a problem and we want to quit. Again, the paradox of the disease of choice is that it starts as a choice, and somewhere along the lines we lose our choice, and then to get out of that, we have to make another choice to get out of it. And that is hard. And a lot of the times, remember, if you listen to the episode, what was it? I Swear I'll Stop Tomorrow. The thing is that whenever we say that we want to quit, that we're going to stop, and just one more, all that, any of those variations, we actually fucking meant it. We meant, I'm going to stop. I'm going to get better. I want it. And sometimes we would get better for anywhere from a couple days, a couple weeks, a month. But somewhere along the lines, and it says it in the big book for AA, is that within 2 weeks or a month, we forget how bad it actually got. We forget how it felt, what the pain was like just a few weeks ago. Our brain will sit there and tell us that we need this. But the thing is that it doesn't come in as a we need necessarily whenever we're trying to get clean and clean on our own. What it does is it'll sit there and it'll do that little, hey, you had a good day at work, man. Like, you know, you could drink some. You could use a little. You deserve it. It was a good day. And you're like, yeah, I do deserve it. Damn right I deserve it. And then nothing ever fucking actually happens because as soon as I took that first drink, the floodgates were fucking open. There was no stopping it. And it sucked because I kind of knew how it was, but every time I thought, it'll be different this time. I'll just do one shot, and then sometimes it was like, I'll do 2 or 3. And it never, ever stopped at the amount that I first said it would. It never did. If it did, I would not be here. But at the same time, I don't know if this is helping anyone, but I sure hope it does sometime in the future. And again, whenever it sits there and it comes and tells us it's okay to use again, it's that little tiny voice that is actually very persuading. And that's the thing, is that you don't necessarily have to have a reason for it. You can just be having, everything's going all right, and you're like, man, I'm bored. Let's get fucking high. Like, if you want to smoke pot, that's totally fine. Shrooms, that's fine. I don't have a problem with those. My problem was alcohol. And other people have problems with weed, with shrooms, whatever, psychedelics, hard drugs, needle drugs. People can have a problem with anything. And one of the other things that I've learned throughout this whole path of recovery is that everyone has a fucking addiction. Everyone. And you may say, no, I don't. Well, yeah, you do. You probably got something that you may not obsess over to an unhealthy amount, but you have something that you're so into that whenever you do it, you get such a rush that it keeps you coming back for more. That's pretty much what addiction is. But the thing is that some addictions are healthy. Some addictions are healthier than others. And then some addictions are not self-destructive. And a lot of us, we fall into that self-destructive and unhealthy category. Why? Because it's just what fucking happened. It's, again, we made a choice to use or drink. We didn't choose to become an addict or alcoholic. It just happened. It may be a series of choices, possibly, but the thing is that it did start as a choice. Nature and nurture have a weird little play on it because, yeah, nurture, you can be predisposed to being an addict or alcoholic depending on your parents and your family history, but the nurture part is where your upbringing is, your environment that you're in whenever you're growing up. Some people are predisposed in a spot to where whenever they're young, they're subjected to all this negativity in their life, and they have drugs and alcohol prominent. And the thing is that with young people, they're very impressionable. That's where you don't teach them anything. They just pick things up because guess what? Young people are actually very smart and intelligent, even the ones that don't seem like it. The sheer fact of observing some other people teaches them. And that's the thing, it doesn't have to be directly towards them. They can just watch 2 strangers interact and then they go, okay, that's something I want to do. That's something I need to do. That's something that is funny, or that's something that makes me get my way and stuff like that. So you don't have to do anything like with or to the younger person. All they have to do is witness it. That's as easy as it gets. It's kind of like watching an electron go through the double slit wall. Like, if you watch it, it does this. If you don't watch it, it does this. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look up the double slit electron exercise. Well, not exercise, experiment. And you'll kind of get what I'm saying. But the thing is that with addiction, the negative kind, working these steps helps. And I mean, it just does. And I hate, like, some people need to work the steps, like, super hardcore every day. Some people just work them passively. Some people stop working them. But for a good portion, the ones that stop working them, they either turn into that dry drunk or they end up relapsing, and they may not make it out of it. So the steps are crucial for some, and for others, they help. But the steps can also help your average person, your average Joe, your average Sally, lad or lass. Yeah, we'll do that, lad or lass. And so the thing is that if you see someone that's struggling with something, don't judge, because you don't know what they're going through. Just as you don't want people to judge you whenever you're going through something. And the thing is that a lot of us will sit there and go, this person has a problem with this because of this. Well, correlation does not mean causation. So just because you see two things have some kind of relationship does not mean that they are intertwined and the exact same reasoning, the cause and effect factor. And yeah, the steps. For you non-sober people, for you non-addicts, there's a program called Al-Anon. I had never heard of it until I started going through the Men of Nehemiah. Apparently, Al-Anon is like the non-addict version of AA. From what I understand, as it's told to me, is that it's similar to what my podcast is about. It's to try and help people that are related to or close to an addict or alcoholic understand what they're going through, which is an amazing idea, because that's what I'm trying to do with mine. Now, I'm trying to make people understand that addicts and alcoholics are still people. We are still people, just as you're a person. And that's the thing, is that we're all people. Our struggles are different. The hands that we've dealt for this game of life are different. But guess what? We're still people. And to understand and have empathy and sympathy for those that you can't really relate to is hard to do. But once you can relate to them, once you can go, oh yeah, I see a little bit of me in that person with this story, or I see a little bit of me in that person by their actions. Once you can sit there and relate and say, I can feel that, I can understand that person, I can understand how they feel. Once you start to be able to do that, then you can start to really sit there and make the way for a lot of healing for yourself and for others. And another thing is that it helps erase the stigma that all addicts are bad people, because no, they're not. In fact, they're fucking great people. The addiction brought out the fucking worst in them, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to deny that. The problem is, though, is that people sit there and they think that addict equals criminal equals all bad. That's not the case for everyone. Some people are just fucking assholes. You don't need drugs or alcohol just to be an asshole. So, whenever, like, it's kind of like the whole, well, guys suck because this guy did this, that. So I'm swearing off guys. Well, it's like, not all guys are like that. Just like, oh, well, this girl did this to me, blah, 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 blah. Well, not all girls are like that. So why can't y'all say the same thing about addicts? This addict did this, that, and that. Well, guess what? Not all addicts are the same. Just as not every gender is, just as one person to a gender is not like the rest of that gender, so on and so forth, blah, blah, you know what I mean. But once we can make a way for healing of self and for others, which is like steps, basically all of them, once we can do that for other people too, once we can actually have everyone agree that life sucks, so why not help each other out? Once we can get that going, I think the world will be a much better place. And I believe that people are inherently good. Inherently good. Some people are going to say no, but I personally believe that people are inherently good. The evidence is all around. But people like to focus on the negative, because the negative is easier to fall into. And that goes with being depressed, being angry, being mopey, lazy. All those are easier to do than it is to be happy, joyous, optimistic, and productive. It's kind of weird how it works, because your perspective of the world is how you feel on the inside. Once you start to change this and this will change as well. Try it out. I guarantee you something will come out of it. It may not be easy. In fact, I know it's not easy, and it's actually scary as hell. One of the hardest things I've had to do in recovery is learn how to be happy again. That was scary. It was scary. It was hard. But I can say right now that it was worth it. And I'm still learning how to do it too. Because I'll sit there and I'll beat myself up for silly little things here and there. But you know what? The point is that I'm willing to try and keep learning and keep going. There are days where it's hard, but that's whenever you sit there and you reach out to someone and you tell them, like, hey man, like I don't need any advice on anything. I just need to get this off my chest. Just while I'm talking, just nod your head and go, yeah, I feel that, or yeah, that sucks. Sometimes that's all someone needs, is to be heard and understood. So if you know someone going through a tough time, just hear them out. Be a shoulder, be an ear. It's not that hard. You got 2 ears, 2 shoulders, maybe like 6 shoulders if you count your elbows. But I mean, and then 4 ears if you have hearing aids. Anyways, so I'm going to leave this lunch intermission episode here. This shall be episode 2. So I'm going to, I'm going to start doing these often, maybe not every day, but I'm going to be putting out some stuff like this fairly often. And I'm hoping that it can be a nice addition to the original and main focus, which is retrieving sanity. I know these might be a little bit longer, but again, it's during the day. I don't necessarily have a topic to go off of, so I get a ramble and go on tangents, which one of my nicknames growing up was Tangent Tan, because my first name's Tanner, so I'm trying to go by my middle name, Keegan, because it's Irish, and, well, not only that, I use it as me like the phoenix. Ashes burn, and out of the ashes came a new bird. So Tanner burnt up. He was scared, lonely. Lonely. He was scared and running and hiding. Keegan is not. So, with this, I'm going to say, keep on doing what you do, love each other, and love yourself. Until I see y'all next episode of Retrieving Sanity Lunch Intermission. Ston.